Welcome everyone to Backyard Musings, broadcasting live from Apple Valley. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
Thank you for joining us today. We promised you we would talk about Build Back Better. Remember that campaign slogan from 2020, 2021? You don't hear too much about it now. That $4 trillion proposal was defeated. So let's take a look at what it was and how it's transformed through workarounds. So the following information is from the whitehouse.gov. Here's a list of the framework that Biden wanted to do: investment in children and caregiving, combat climate change, expansion of affordable health care, bring down costs and strengthen the middle class, and the framework for Build Back Better, fully paid by asking more from the rich. None under 400,000 will be taxed more. That's where it came from. So Senator Joe Manchin, he pretty much killed the sweeping $4 trillion Build Back bill. So far, the White House has created 3 workarounds to pass individual elements of the original plan. You remember when Manchin voted that down?
Yeah. He wanted to shave it. Yeah, he wanted to get it down to around like 1.5 or between 1.5 and 2 trillion.
Yeah, I think it morphed into 3.5, and then 2.2, then 2, then 1.75, and finally 1.5 trillion.
Yeah,
but
and
it was,
like you said, Kristen Sinema was involved in some holdout too.
It got parsed into different plans because he couldn't get the Build Back Better done. So we're going to look at those plans that he did get passed. Here's what the Biden-Harris idiocracy was able to pass. First, the 1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, and I think that started out with Trump trying to get a plan together, finalized after Trump left office and Biden got it passed. No Senate Republicans voted for it because there was a lot of pork in it. Lots of fraud at the individual and state level regarding COVID relief. We've already reported on that.
Right.
Lots of fraud. Hilarious stuff like pictures of Barbie and Ken, as your picture going into the...
Yeah, finding out if dogs get hot when they're running in the summertime versus the wintertime. I mean, just off the chart stuff.
So we're not going to go into the American Rescue Plan that much. It's a lot of pork in there, and it still hasn't completely been spent, all the money. I don't think it's completely been spent. So the second workaround was the American Jobs Plan. And that plan was able to get Protecting the Right to Organize Act passed to override states' right to work laws. Remember, states were passing a right to work that they didn't have to. If you didn't want to join a union, you didn't have to.
Right.
And it also safeguarded union elections, allowing the employees to vote for whether they wanted to unionize or not. I haven't been tracking that right to organize. I guess it's pro-union. I haven't been tracking that too close. If our viewers, our listeners, have some knowledge about how that's going, not spin, not lies, but concrete, how it's gone, put it into the comments. We'd love to see it. And then the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act was passed. I want to talk a little bit about that. $110 billion for roads, bridges, and other major projects.
How's that going for you?
Could we use that about now?
Yeah. How's that? Well, I mean, obviously that bridge
Bridge,
in Baltimore.
yeah.
We've touched on it before. Our roads in this state, federal roads, our interstates, are just...
They're crumbling.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible. And for those of you that listen to us, that travel the I-15 corridor, up through the Inland Empire into, say, if you travel to Las Vegas, that freeway is just taxed to death. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of cars travel that, and trucks every day, and both ways. It used to be, you didn't want to go Friday night or Sunday night heading southbound, Friday night going northbound because of the traffic. Now it's all the time. It's just thick. So, and yeah, they need it. They need that money.
Something I want to talk about, the bridge thing. I just want to briefly mention it. That
Baltimore Bridge.
Yeah, the Baltimore Francis Scott Key. That I read somewhere, don't know the veracity of it, that the owner of the ship is the CEO is what's a Republican senator, minority leader?
Oh,
Minority leader. from Kentucky.
McConnell.
McConnell's sister-in-law, his wife's sister, was CEO of that company, and she died under mysterious circumstances.
Recently?
Yeah,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
yeah. So I read that somewhere. Now, my good friend Pinball Preparedness, and you can look him up. Pinball Preparedness has done a segment on what's really happening with that bridge and how it happened, and we haven't gone into that, but I would recommend that you head on over to Pinball Preparedness, and he's a good buddy of mine, old buddy of mine, and see what he has to say. So, roads, bridges, and other major projects, 110 billion. 11 billion for transportation safety programs. How's that going? Transportation safety programs.
That,
Has
that
any
is
of
a
that
lot
been?
of, that is a lot of money for a program.
Have you heard anything about transportation safety or what they're doing for that?
No,
I haven't heard
I don't
anything.
know.
Okay,
I mean,
it seems
who
like a lot
comes
of
up
pork.
with some of the titles of these programs? I guess
This
so.
is right in the act, 39 billion for transit modernization. So is that high-speed rail, or is
don't know.
that turnpikes, or?
I know some places in the states here have high speed rail. You don't even want to talk about that in the
Not in
state of
Cal- not in
California. Oh my
California.
gosh,
No.
we've
That
invested billions of dollars in trains that haven't even started, or tracks that haven't even
that's
started.
over budget now.
Way over budget.
Yeah,
I mean,
way.
this goes back to Gray Davis, if you can remember that far back, and that's before Schwarzenegger was a governor, and it just awful spending of money, just a waste. It's terrible.
I don't see what transit modernization has done. 66 billion for rail improvements. I mean, I think we could use rail improvements, but it hasn't been done. We did
I
a
don't know.
segment on all the train, another train derailment.
We got the same train tracks running through our area. We got two sets of tracks. We got UP here. We got Santa
They're
Fe,
heavily used.
BNSF here. They are. But I haven't seen any big improvements. But maybe they
Haven't
are.
either.
So
Let
if
us
you know about
know.
them, let us know.
7.5 billion in national network for electrical chargers, EV vehicles. I'm for that because I have EV vehicles, and I don't want to be left stranded because I'm out of juice, and those are popping up. I know that Ford has signed an agreement with Tesla now to include them in their Blue Oval network, that's good. Then we have more options to charge.
Where does the power come from?
It's coal fed, and
Yeah.
it's
So I
coal
mean,
fed.
what are we going to do? We
We
talked
need to
about
bolster
that too.
that.
We've had issues here where we've had brownouts. We're coming on to summer.
I think we need to use nuclear. We need to get nuclear safer and put it across the United States. It's good energy. It's clean energy.
Yeah,
Nuclear.
wind I know is catching on, but I heard the other day that they have to replace the blades
blades?
on those windmills,
Periodically, yeah.
and plus they use a ton of lubricating oil to make those
Yeah, that
things
could
continue
seep
to.
down.
So you're not
That could
getting
seep down
away
the
from petroleum. So
And there was a big hailstorm that destroyed. I think it was a 2.3 megawatt farm in Texas.
oh boy,
I think it was a 2.3 megawatt. The hail just destroyed the. So I mean that's not infallible either. I mean
yeah,
elements
I mean that's the act of God.
climate change could affect solar.
Now they're going to have to build some kind of a
Ridiculous.
overhang over these things so they don't get beat up by the hailstone. Yeah.
Okay, that segue, nice segue. 73 billion in power infrastructure and clean energy transmission. Part of this was wanting to retrofit buildings throughout the United States to make them more clean. I mean, that's a fantasy. I mean, new buildings, yes, but old buildings, that's
tough.
a waste of money.
That's tough. That's a lot of money. $73 billion.
Yeah. And 65 billion in broadband development. I mean, have you heard anything about the broadband spectrum? The development of that? I haven't
No.
heard anything about it. But that act passed, so
It's in there. Somebody's getting that money, I guess.
somebody, yeah. The third prong here is the American Families Plan. And from the American Families Plan sprung out the $1.2 trillion Inflation Reduction Act. Again, no Republican senators passed it, but it got passed. So,
Elections have consequences. They do.
it's just so sad. I just was hit with grief right there when you said that. Inflation reduction hasn't done anything to reduce inflation. So it was supposed to reduce current and future inflation. How's that going? I don't know. Reforming corporate taxing, tax the rich, But the rich already pay for the top 1% pays for what, 40% of all taxes in the United States? The top 10% earners pay for 76%. I mean, how much more can you tax them?
Maybe we should talk about one segment where we should talk about people who actually aren't taxed. And they could pay a portion of their income in taxes, but they're not.
That would be the poor, under $12,000. I mean, those people aren't taxed, but I would think that they need every penny that they can get.
I get that, but whatever usually what they pay, they get back.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, if I were rich and I'm not, I can imagine just hearing that all the time. And those people, they're rich for a reason. They usually know how to invest their money, and they'll move it. They'll go elsewhere, like moving out of a state.
Since you said that, we had a comment the other day about, what are you guys doing? You're broadcasting in the middle of the day. We're retired.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm retired.
We're retired. I'm retired Army.
I'm 96 years old.
Yeah, I keep saying that he is. My cousin. I joke about it, but he's not. Okay, I try to rib him.
Not quite 96, but I am retired. Yeah,
we paid off our loans.
Yep.
Right. We've saved for the future. We've done good. Don't criticize us because it's middle of the day in our backyard. We've lived the American dream, and hard work, tenacity, and luck has got us here.
Yep, I worked.
Right? So
I worked over 40 years.
No more troll.
Way over 40 years.
Stop that troll. Okay. Back to inflation. Lower prescription drug prices. I like that. That benefits everyone. Rich, poor, whatever, middle class, right?
Yep. And that kind of goes on to the big pharma guys, right? They should be doing something about that, and they're making big bucks.
Well, they
they should
do
figure out
research
a way.
and development. That costs money. I mean, it costs money to make the new drugs. You got for every one that's successful, you might have 10 or 12 that are duds that you put money into.
Okay, but I think they could make a little bit less. And again, I'm not trying to slam people that are making money. I'm a capitalist. I wholeheartedly support that, but they could make a little less money, and especially for people that are on things that they need to stay alive, right?
Yeah.
Insulin, for instance.
Yeah.
That, and I know there's been some work on that, but
like Hep C drugs.
yeah. Those
It's
people,
a cure for Hep
if you
C.
don't have that stuff,
My brother got that from Vietnam, Hep C.
that's tough stuff.
Yeah.
So
Next one, expanding health insurance subsidies. Remember, if it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. If it stops moving, subsidize it. So a lot of insurance providers were pulling out of this Affordable Care Act because you had a lot of people coming in and getting all this. Even though the premiums rose, they were getting all these services. They were bum rushing it, and so the insurance agencies were losing money, so they pulled out. So now we're trying to subsidize and give them more money to get back in to help insure people. I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for it.
Either. And again, that's another thing that our state has taken a big hit on. And again, if your state's out there and we're not mentioned, we live in California, and it's a great state as long as you don't have to buy anything or pay any taxes. And insurance companies have been pulling out of the state because they've been taking some big hits. Fires. We've had some really bad years of wildfires, and a lot of that I think
that's attributed to climate change, but it's good practices.
Forestry management.
Practices.
They're just
cutting
not managing
brake
it.
roads and stuff.
Right.
It's not climate change.
Yeah, exactly.
It's somebody taking a cigarette at a campground and going like this, and woof, it starts.
Right.
Well, the winds whip it up. That could be climate, but winds are normal.
Right. And, we get wind here.
Look at it right now. You can see the trees behind us.
This is our typical spring stuff. But
So, and another one, curbing greenhouse gas emissions while boosting domestic energy production. How does that work? Boosting domestic energy production? No, that's code for war against. And I'm okay with curbing greenhouse gas emissions as long as you're not a zealot and pushing it on me, shoving it down my throat. I'm okay with saving the ozone. You know, I'll do my part, but don't shove it down. Don't say I can't have this appliance or that, or try and control my thermostat. You know?
Yeah. What was the other thing they were trying to do? Saying that cow flatulence was
Yeah,
causing.
stupid AOC. So eat less meat. Forget it. So Kamala Harris suggests reelecting Biden so they can finish the work. You want them to finish the work that they've done in the last 3 years.
Can't
Do you
afford
really
another 4
want
years.
that?
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Vote them out.
Please.
Thank you for joining
Please
us.
vote. Yep. Have a good day. Thank you.